All right, everyone. Let's be honest.
We've all seen those headlines.
Yeah. Oh.
E. coli outbreak linked to salmonella strikes again.
Yep.
It's enough to make you want to just give up on food altogether.
Totally.
Right.
Today, we're diving deep into those microscopic menaces.
E. coli, listeria, and salmonella.
Because even though we can't actually see them,
Understanding these tiny troublemakers is so important for navigating the world of food.
absolutely.
Our mission today is to really break down the differences between these three bacteria.
Explore some recent outbreaks
Yeah.
and give you the knowledge to stay safe and make good choices.
Love that.
So,
What's really fascinating to me is that even though these bacteria, they're often lumped together in the news as, food poisoning,
right.
they're totally different
Oh, they're totally distinct.
organisms with their own characteristics and behaviors.
Okay, so it's like they each have their own little personality.
It's like they have personalities, vulnerabilities.
and survival strategy.
I love that bacterial personalities,
Well, let's break it down.
starting with E. coli.
Okay, so E. coli.
It's actually a common resident in the intestines of cattle and other animals.
Okay.
And what makes it really concerning is that it can contaminate meat during processing, especially ground beef.
Where meat from different animals is all mixed together.
Makes sense.
And there's this one strain, E. coli 0157H7.
It's notorious for causing really severe illness.
Okay,
But the good news is that E. coli is heat sensitive.
so thorough cooking can get rid of it.
So that's why we cook burgers well done. It's
Exactly.
not just grandma being fussy.
Yeah.
It's science.
It's backed by science.
Okay, but what about listeria?
Okay, listeria
Listeria is like the overachiever.
of bacteria.
It can even thrive in the refrigerator.
What?
I know, it's crazy, right?
That's wild.
It produces these enzymes that allow it to function in cold environments.
Really? So
Yeah.
that's why it's a big concern in those ready-to-eat foods that are stored cold.
Like deli meats. Exactly like deli meats and soft cheeses.
And we even saw a case in our research where there were hospitalizations and even deaths.
That's really scary because it's just sitting there in your fridge,
I know, it's lurking out.
multiplying away.
Okay, well, let's talk about salmonella.
Okay.
Another one that's always in the headlines.
Right.
So what makes it different from those other two?
So salmonella is usually found in poultry and eggs.
And contamination can actually happen at any point, from the farm to processing to even your kitchen.
Oh, wow.
And while cooking will kill salmonella,
Cross-contamination is a major risk.
oh, like using the same cutting board
Exactly.
to raw chicken and then veggies.
Yep, you got to wash those cutting boards really well.
That's a good point.
Because we actually saw a multi-state outbreak from eggs recently.
Oh, gosh.
So it's really important to be super careful in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
So all of this is making me a little nervous.
About, eating anything.
But it also emphasizes that these are real threats
Oh, yeah.
with serious consequences. So what can we do to protect ourselves?
That's the big question, right?
Yes, aside from cooking our food thoroughly and washing our hands.
Right. Well, awareness is really key.
Reading labels carefully, especially those use by and best by dates.
Okay.
You should also stay informed about food recalls.
And any public health warnings in your area?
At home, practice safe food storage.
Separate raw meats from other foods in the fridge.
Right.
Use different cutting boards.
And store leftovers properly.
Wow. I never realized how much goes into keeping food safe.
I have to admit, I'm not always that careful.
About things like washing my cutting board after raw chicken.
It happens.
But this has been a real wake-up call.
Yeah.
Hearing about how easily these bacteria can spread.
It's a lot to think about.
It really is.
Doesn't it?
So beyond these individual actions, is there anything else we can do?
Well, there are actually some pretty exciting emerging technologies.
Like food irradiation
Okay.
and new packaging techniques.
That can enhance food safety. Yeah, and there's also a growing awareness of the role of regulatory bodies
In setting and enforcing standards.
to minimize these risks.
So it's a multifaceted problem.
Yeah.
But it sounds like progress is being made.
Oh, definitely.
That's good to hear.
So as informed consumers, what's the main takeaway here?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that understanding these microscopic threats
Can really empower you to make safer choices.
in the grocery store,
Yeah.
in our kitchens, and when we're dining out.
Exactly.
It also highlights how important it is to advocate for strong food safety practices.
At every level, from producers to regulators.
I think that's a great point.
It's not just on us as individuals.
It's a shared responsibility.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
And learned a lot about these three bacteria.
The risks that they pose.
But I still have one question.
How can understanding these microscopic threads help us create a food system
where outbreaks are less common and less severe?
That's a big question.
It is.
But it's something to think about.
For sure.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.